So we will wait for 2 minutes. So once we have enough viewers on the, then we can start the session.
Okay.
Okay, we can start the session, sir.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Farmina Nutrition Hour. Today, our topic of discussion is Have an Itchy Pet, Speak to the Vet. I am Dr. Anish Pillai, Vet Manager for Farmina Pet Foods, and with me is my beloved professor and a renowned veterinary dermatologist in India, Dr. Nagarajan, sir. Dr. Nagarajan, he is an ex-professor and head for the Department of Clinics and Preventive Medicine Department at Madras Veterinary College, Chennai. He is also a CEO and founder of Ballo Multi-Speciality Hospital in Chennai. He is an ex-secretary of Asian Society of Veterinary Dermatology. And he holds various prestigious positions in different affiliations, just like he is the president of Small Animal Practitioners of Chennai, a president of Association of Veterinary Dermatology India, and he is also a member of European Society of Veterinary Dermatology. It's an honor, sir, that you have accepted our invitation and you are here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, sir. You have spent almost 4 decades in this industry. So our viewers will be definitely curious to know about your journey in this industry. Can you please brief about your journey, sir?
Actually, I started my career by 1982. 82, I started with a veterinary veterinarian in Kerala Livestock Development and Milk Marketing Board. First, I worked in Bull Station. Later, I came to Animal Husbandry Department in Tamil Nadu, where I worked 9 years in different veterinary dispensaries, hospitals, key village centers, everywhere. Then I joined in veterinary college after completing my MVSc in clinical medicine, where I got a lot of opportunity to expose with various kind of diseases, internal medicine, everything. And later I went to Animal Husbandry Department again, and again came back to college from 1981 onwards. 1991 onwards, I am in the college. So there I was posted in small animals, and even though I had exposure in small animals in my field, here I concentrated more on small animal, and that too in dermatology. Even though we have got a lot of exposure in internal medicine like liver, kidney, everything, we have got a lot of exposure because of my practice. I am doing private practice also. So in that, I had a lot of interesting cases of dermatology. So I thought, why can't we explore this? So I just concentrated over it, and then slowly I have published a lot of articles. I have presented a lot of things in international forums. So they recognized me, and they gave me as a secretary for Asian Society for Veterinary Dermatology. And then we also started here, considering the need of dermatology activity by fellow veterinarian, and also by interaction with the public, and other thing has to be done in a great way, because we have to find out, like allergy to food by dogs or cat. Still we have not identified throughout India what are all the pattern occurring, and also what are all the allergens which are responsible for giving environmental allergy in India. Like that, we have to make all those things with the help of certain groups. That's why we have started an Asian Society of Veterinary Dermatology, and we are working on it, and we are doing good in it. And now I have retired from the service in the June, 30th June, and I started doing full-time practice in Chennai, named Ballo Multi-Speciality Pet Clinic, wherein we are doing a lot of good activities, and including dermatology activity. The dermatology, we are doing skin allergy testing, and all other immunotherapy, and also food allergy dietary trial, everything we are going for it, apart from parasitic examination, everything. So we are into the group and we are doing good, and I think it will work out very well in future.
That sounds great. Actually sounds great. And I am pretty sure that for any practitioners in India, so if they have any doubt regarding dermatology, you are the only guru available in India, including me. I also have done PG diploma in dermatology under you only. It's a honor that I am sharing a screen and doing a live program with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sir,
Yes,
you have spent most of your career, a great part of your career for dermatology. So,
yes.
in your experience, sir, what are the common reasons? What are the different reasons for an itching in a pit?
See, itching is a very most common reason for any patient. That is, any client to bring the dog, pet parent to bring the dog to the vet is itchy is the main reason. So in that we have got very many reason for it. One of the important reason is infections. See, the infection is it may be a bacteria like staphylococcus, or it may be a virus, or like a distemper, or it may be because of the fungus, or it may be because of the malassezia like yeast. So these things are very common infections seen in practice. And in that, even the fungus, you might have seen a lot of dogs each after swimming. Say when they exposed to swim, they all of a sudden they develop itch. So that may be because of pythosis. There is a thing called Pythium insidosum. So this Pythium insidosum is a fungus which affect the, if it is going to get infected with the water, wherein because a lot of dogs are tend to go for activity in the water, like a guard dog or any hunting dog. They are very live in the water, so they are there are chances to get exposed to the spores of this fungus. Because of that, it will have the infection. So that is also has to taken into consideration. Apart from that, we have got parasites. The parasites are very important thing in practice, particularly when the young, it may be an internal parasite or external parasite. Internal parasite, very commonly we are seeing hookworm and tapeworm infestation. See, the hookworm infestation, you'll be seeing a lot of dogs with the erythema in the foot dermatitis, we call as a pododermatitis. So in the foot, if you are going to see a
Sir,
peeling of the skin.
for our viewers, sir, can you make it simple, simplify the term erythema, sir? Because
Okay,
for pet parents, it might be difficult to understand the technical.
but reddening of the area. See, the red area will be there in the foot, and it will be having constant biting there, and it will have peeling of the skin. If you see the foot, it will have a peeling of the skin. So those are all the symptoms. It is very important to, even though it is occurring in very many diseases. First and foremost thing is we have to rule out the hookworm when we have given deworming, all those things. Is there any chance of getting the hookworm dermatitis, that we have to see. Whereas in case of tapeworm dermatitis, we always have the redness around the perineal area, that is around the anus or sides of the abdomen. You'll be having hair loss. In both the verminous infestation, hookworm or tapeworm, you'll be having full of dry coat. So the hair fall, dry coat, brittle coat, all these things will be even peel off immediately. When you touch the hair, it will fall off. Like that, it will be there. Particularly in young puppy, you have a lot of things like this. So even though it is commonly seen in adult also, if it is going to be young puppy, first and foremost thing is will be going for a deworming first. So like that, we have got internal parasite. Apart from that, we have got external parasite.
I
And the
think, sir,
external,
that might be a reason why every time whenever a puppy when a pet parent visits with a puppy which has skin infection,
yeah,
vet always asks whether it is dewormed, and that might be this might
yeah,
be a reason. The
yeah,
tapeworm and
yeah,
hookworms.
that is very, very important. We have got so many things, we will discuss that. And in the external parasite, we have got very importantly the scabies and the demodex. See, the scabies is the most commonly seen in puppies, particularly when you are going to allow the dog for breeding to some other thing. After that, if it is going to have itch, we have to think of that. Or if it is going to be a new puppy from a shandy, wherein it is not kept hygienically, or if there is chance for picking up the infection from the other puppy, there is more chance for getting scabies. The scabies will have intense pruritus. See, it will forget the environment. It will forget. See, you might have seen a lot of dogs whenever it is going out of the house or when it is going enter into the hospital. Immediately they will get excited. They will have a difference in behavior, like drooling of saliva, shivering of the thigh, or even if they are going on the road, immediately by seeing a automobile, immediately they will go away from that. Or if they are going to see a dog, immediately the erector pili, all the hairs will get erected and it will try to chase it. Ears will get erect, and all the top line hair will get erect. All these things will not be there when it is going to have a scratching, particularly when it is going to have a scabies. It will forget everything, the enjoyment only with the scratching. So they will scratch all the time, 24 hours scratching. Scratching is the only enjoyment it will have. Whatever you tell, food, everything, every environment, everything will be forgetting. So even apart from that, the owner also will have, or a companion animal also can have the itching. So that
So
is
it's a
the,
zoonotic one.
yeah, that's why we have to easily identify that whenever you have a itching, you have to see whether the dog is having itching. If it is so, whether any chance of picking up the infection of mange. So the sarcoptic mange is the one which is responsible for it. Apart from that, the demoductic mange, that is not necessarily it should have a scratching, but generally it develops scratching because of the secondary bacterial infection, fungal infection leading to itching. And apart from that, there is a thing called chilatellosis. That is a organism which will give lot of scales on the top line. So it is called walking dandruff. You can see on the top line of the animal, lot of dandruff, small dirt-like white things will be there. With that, we can say it is a chilatellosis. If you take out the scale and see under microscope, we can see like a scorpion mouth part, like a thing will be there in the organism. And then fleas and lice. Lice also will be having. Fleas means it will be having the lumbosacral distribution. See, you can see at the base of the tail and around the tail area, you can see a lot of self mutilation, and it will have loss of hair and lot of small redness will be there. That from that we can very easily identify that it is a flea infestation. Not necessarily there should be flea on the body. It can develop as a hypersensitivity reaction, particularly a flea if it is from a nearby cat or dog. If it is going to come and jump over the dog and stay on it, the saliva of the flea can create a lot of itching. So that is the one which is creating a hypersensitivity reaction. So like that, we have got a lot of thing in flea allergy. And apart from that, lice infestation, pediculosis, we call as pediculosis. That lice infestation will give an appearance of top line lesions. See, particularly in puppies, we see a lot of cases of pediculosis. When you spread the hair, it will move around, it will move fast. So that is the lice. So we can very well see that and give treatment. As you consult the vet, they will give treatment and will get all right with that. So like that, we have got important reason for scratching is parasite. Apart from that, allergies. So the allergies are very important. See, allergy, we have got 4 important allergies. One is insect or flea, as I told you. Insect can be even mosquitoes. Mosquitoes can create allergic eruptions all over the body. You can see a lot of bumps like eruptions all over the body, particularly in the top line. If it is going to be there, any insect bite or mosquito bite or anything will be there on the top line. On the top line of the animal, you can see like a squirrel, you can see a lot of eruptions on the midline, that is on the top line of the animal. Then apart from that, you can very well see the flea allergy in the lumbosacral area, that is base of the tail, around the tail you can see. Then apart from that, we have got chemical contact allergy. Chemical contact allergy can occur because of floor wash. So we can have some people will use a chemical which is not acceptable by the animal individually. Not necessarily all the animals will react for it. So some will have like soap or shampoo, even they may react in a different way. See, sometime individually it will vary. See, not necessarily one soap should affect all the animal, or one chemical will give reaction for all the animal. See, you may have 5 animals, only 2 may have reaction for it. Not necessarily all the 5 should have reaction for the chemical contact. Or
And
even
floor cleansers, sir, floor cleansers like Dettol, Lysol.
those things also can easily create the problem. Some people use Dettol for even washing the whole body. So those things should be avoided. Any chemical irritant, or if it is going to create any irritation for the animal, or if it is going to create allergy, so they will develop allergy immediately after exposure to that particular chemical. So you have to see from the history we will be identifying, but even you can identify by seeing what happens, why it is scratching after application of the soap or after exposure to the chemical. All those things you have to find out. Then apart from that, we have got food allergy. So food also very important thing. We have to think about it, which can create allergy even from the young child, from the young dog. You can develop allergy to certain proteins. Proteins are the main source for allergy for this. In this particular, the treats are very importantly making a lot of allergy to the dog. So that we have to, we will see about it. And apart from that, environmental allergy. So the environment is the one which is creating a lot of, like an asthma. It is a genetically predisposed inflammatory condition in which animal will develop IgE. There is a substance called, chemical called immunoglobulin E in the body. So that chemical will get increased in the body to the environmental allergens. So that is the thing which is genetically come from the mother to young one. So that is the one like an asthma in human being. So we call it as atopy. So atopic dogs, they are tend to have allergy to the environment. Particularly the environment means it can be of pollen, or it can be of parthenium, or it can be of grass, or it can be of even house dust mite. See, the house dust mite will be there throughout the year. See, whereas pollen means it will be there whenever there is a flowering season. So in atopy you'll be having both seasonal and non-seasonal. So seasonal means at that time it will have flowering season, means it will aggravate the itching. Whereas all over throughout the year it will have itching, but during the time of flowering season it will have more intensity of itching. So that is the difference. So whereas the food allergy you'll be having itching only in the itching non-seasonal. It is not a seasonal one. Like that we have got variations. And in this 4 different type of allergies, very importantly we have food allergy, and all the things are very important. Even insect bite allergy, or flea allergy, or food allergy, or because many of the parents, pet parents, are missing this because they are not closely observing what is happening in the dog. So they'll be simply thinking that it is itching, so some injection has to be given so that it should become all right immediately. We have got lot of criteria to identify that, and if you go to vet, immediately they will find out what is happening in the animal, and they will give treatment accordingly so that you can easily correct it. Apart from this allergen, we are having very less amount of irritation because of the immune mediated diseases. Like we have got pemphigus. See, in human being also we have got pemphigus foliaceus, and systemic lupus erythematosus, some disease are there. So any immune mediated disease can create itching. And apart from that, we have got keratoseborrheic diseases. So in that also animal will develop itching. So in the keratoseborrheic disease, it can happen because of the primary and secondary. And in the primary case, it will be there genetically. So from the birth, you might have seen lot of puppies used to have a lot of scales all over the body. Whatever anti-seborrheic treatment you are giving, even anti-dandruff treatment you are giving, it won't be all right with that. So temporarily it will become all right. Again, it will come back. That is mainly because of the keratoseborrhea, which is a primary disease in that particular animal. So you have to contact the veterinarian to rule out whether it is a genetical disease, whether it is curable or not curable, or we have to maintain it throughout life. because we cannot avoid the animal. We have to maintain the animal with various gadgets so that they will help you in identifying the problem and correcting it and maintaining it. So that is why the Keratoseborrhea requires a lot of lipid substance to improve the condition, and vitamin A retinoids has to be supplemented so that it will maintain properly. A lot of soothing shampoos are required for that. So like that, we have got neoplasms. See, the skin neoplasm like mast cell tumor, mucoid, fungus mucoides, all these things also create a lot of itching. Even a memory tumor can create itching. So we have to see whether it is because of the neoplasm, what the animal is having, neoplasia, tumor, cancer. Then apart from that, miscellaneous causes. Say, for example, you are going to use a shampoo which is not intended. Actually, we are using a shampoo. We might have suggested you to treat the demodicosis to flush out all the dirt from the root of the hair, like benzyl peroxide. If the same benzyl peroxide is not stopped after the treatment, if you are keeping on, if you are going on using it, what will happen? It will flush out all the greasy substance in the body. They will go for dryness. So this dryness will lead to itching. So that's why that is like that. Some dogs used to develop a psychogenic itching. Say when the owner acrylic dermatitis, it is called. That is a boredom chewing. So when the owner is not in the station for a week, for any reason he has gone out of station, or if the students are going to have exams, because of exam period, the parents won't allow the son to play with the dog. So because of that, time duration which are interacting with the dog will get reduced. Because of that, dog will initially call for playing, and owner won't allow the dog to play with the son. So what will happen? It will start licking the paw. So licking the paw or licking the back gluteal area will lead to circumscribe the area of alopecia, and it will develop pyoderma, focal deep pyoderma in that area. You can even see greenish or yellowish appearance in that area.
1 second, sir. For the viewers, pyoderma means pus on the skin.
Yeah,
Skin, yeah. So it will be difficult for them to understand the technical term. That's why. And alopecia means, and the term which Dr. Nagarajan has mentioned, alopecia, it means loss of hair.
Loss of hair, complete loss of hair. See, even the root of the hair itself will go away. So that is the alopecia. See, broken hair is different. Broken hair will be seen in the external influences, like what a parasite is going to be there. It will break the hair. Whereas internal influences like hormones or any internal problem will lead to loss of hair with the root itself. So that is the difference. So like that, we have got a lot of issues with the itching. So itching can occur because of these reasons, very many reasons. We have to identify which is the reason to have this, and we have to identify and treat accordingly. Then only it will become all right. Then apart from that, as you asked, shedding is one another important reason to come for a veterinary clinic.
Yes.
Shedding, we have got a very, very important thing. We have to understand two things. One is a normal shedding and abnormal shedding. So the normal shedding...
Actually, this is the biggest headache which a pet parent feels, because I have seen many pet parents, they say that there is abnormal shedding, but sometimes it may be a normal shedding. And they are even worried whether they don't. It is very difficult for a pet parent to understand why there is a lot of shedding.
Yeah, here we have to understand that we should know a lot of types of coats are there in different breeds of dogs. Say, for example, classic coat is there in GST, German Shepherd dog. It is having both primary and secondary hair equally. And whereas we have got short coarse hair pattern is there in terriers, where you will be having more of primary hair and less of secondary hair. And another group of breeds will have a short like a boxer and Doberman. You have a short fine hair. So there you can see the more of secondary hairs, less of primary hair. Likewise, we have got long haired dogs like Chow Chow, or even in Poodle. you'll be having more of secondary hairs. So like that, we have got even three phases of hair growth. One is a growing phase, another one is intermediate phase, another one is a resting phase. So some breeds are prone for growing phase breeds. Say, for example, like human poodles are growing phase breeds. So they require frequent grooming. What we do, we go for frequent grooming. Like that, they also require frequent grooming. Whereas the narcotic breeds, like Nordic breeds, like huskies, they are having a resting pace. So the resting pace breed, that is called Telogen breeds. So these breeds are having a resting pace hairs in it all over. So suppose you are going to groom it, it will take long time to grow hair. So that is the thing. That is the difference you have to see. So apart from that, the amount, the amount of hair shedding and frequency of hair shedding all depends on the breed, season, and also the health of the animal. So the season, say for example, if you are going to say about the season, whenever it is going to be a winter, you might have seen a lot of thick coat of hair. Whereas if it is going to be a summer, lot of hair loss is there. See, our people used to shave the animal in the summer, all because of this. Some forefathers have done it. It has been followed, but it is not bad. It is not a wrong idea. We can do that, but the thing is, if you are going to do it in Nordic breeds like huskies, it will be having a long time to have a growth of hair. So that is the thing. I think they are at their questions.
Yeah. So we will take few questions from the audience. So first question is from Miss Aum. So she has asked, pug having chewing paw habit and itching over neck, turning black, and she has added, tried all vet prescribed medication but less result.
So
And
whenever
again she has added more itching during rain.
So that is what I told you. No, this is mainly because looking like a atopic dog. See, whenever it is going to have a recurrence of infection. So when you are going to a vet, if they
I just wanted to add, sir. Madam, atopy means allergy due to environmental allergy. Yeah.
So whenever there is an environmental allergy, it is a genetically predisposed. It is like an asthma. There is no cure for it. It will be there for throughout life, but we can have a complete control. It is a lifestyle like disease, like diabetes, like this thing.
Asthma.
So we have to maintain throughout life. So we have to go for treating the animal throughout life. But the thing is, we can, once you are going to treat proper treatment, it will have a complete control. See, once you are going to identify it is an environmental allergy, then we can go for complete control over it, and not like now. So we can very well go for it, treating it. So maybe you might have missed it is having a problem of environmental allergy. So the main idea of any allergic disease is recognition of allergic disease is scratching and recurrence of pus in the dermis. So, or the redness all over the body, or bump all over the body, that will reoccur. So you have to go to vet and see why it has got, what type of allergy it is having, and then see for the disease and getting treated.
So, for environmental allergy, is there any precaution which they can take when we talk about food?
See, apart from food, first I'll tell you about the other environmental approach we can make. See, one thing is house dust mite. So we can go for frequent vacuum cleaning of the bed, or even the bedding has to be changed or washed frequently. And you have to go for frequent vacuum cleaning. And if at all you have a lot of plants in the house, you can go for putting carbon particles, like piece of carbons, like what we are adding in the rose plant and other thing, so that the other pollens will not disturb that. So like that here, even in fish tank, we are keeping the carbon thing to control attract the other items, so that it won't affect the environment. So to this particular carbon particle will, when you keep the carbon pieces in the plants or whatever plant you have in the house, that they will attract the pollen so that it won't disturb the thing. Apart from that, we have got percolators, high efficiency percolators. That is HEPA filters. You might have heard about it. High efficiency purified air. That is a HEPA. HEPA filters are available in the market. You can keep it, so it will be very useful to filter these pollens or even the other items that will get controlled, so that you can very greatly very greatly control this. Apart from that, food, as doctor was telling, the food is one another important thing wherein you can support there are certain ingredients which will increase the strength of the coat to prevent the entry of the allergens. But we cannot completely depend on these factors. So there are certain food which will definitely help in supporting as a supporting agents, like what we are adding, essential fatty acids and even turmeric, or all the antioxidants which are going to help in improving the food, that will improve the coat. So they will prevent the entry of allergen, and they will augment the healing nature of the disease. So we have to support so that they will have more strength, more antioxidants in the coat, so that the immunity will be there. More skin immunity will be formed, so that they won't even the in any atopic dogs, we have three important reasons to have a severity of the disease. One is external factors. External factors are this, as I told you, the environment, that is the house dust, pollen, grasses, or even the spores, molds, the aspergillosis or any candids or any molds in the environment. So those things will influence as an extrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor means genetical factor. See, genetical factor which is going to augment this process, or when they are going to have exposure to the environmental allergen, they will get stimulated. So the IgE will get increasingly produced, and they will damage, or they will produce a lot of cytokines. So those chemicals will create a lot of itching in the animal body, because they stimulate the nervous system. So they itch a lot and produce self-mutilation, self-trauma, so that all over the body you will be having the problem. So this particular self-mutilation induced by the individual animal because of the increased chemical produced because of the environmental exposure. Apart from that, the skin itself will have a low lipid content. So this particular, whenever there is an atopy or food allergy, the low level of lipid is documented. So the low level of lipid will create a lot of issues, which will aggravate the condition. So these items are more in the food. So when you supplement essential fatty acid or this PUFA, that is polyunsaturated fatty acids, or even if you are going to give a lot of antioxidants in the vitamin A, vitamin E, all these things are going to help a lot to improve strengthen the body, strengthen the skin condition. So that's why we always support with the food. We are, apart from controlling with the drug, what we are using is cyclosporin, or there is recently they have got a lot of advancement in the cytokine drugs we have got. So those drugs are going to help a lot. So in that, if you're going on using some steroids also help a lot, but we cannot use steroid because they will go for some other disease. If you're going on using steroid, what will happen? They will go for Cushing disease, adrenal immunosuppressants, and also they will develop adrenal gland disease, or it will go for it will affect the other organs, all over the other organs. So we have to go for specifically certain products and the doctor will take care of it. You go and consult the doctor. So here what you have to worry about is environmental allergen, and that environmental allergen has to be treated with a multifocal approach. So your vet will do that. You can go and consult him, and it has to be understood as an environmental allergy.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think Ms. Rajpuri Om, you have got your answer. So, sir, during the initial talk, you mentioned that fungal infection while seen in swimming dogs which
Yes.
swim. So, in India, there is no clarity on how frequently we should bath our pets.
So actually,
So
the bath
they,
is too important.
because in my family itself, there are few relatives who have pets at their home, and they feel that I bath daily, so at least I should bath my pet twice a day. So once in 2 days. So
It all depends upon the climate. See, the climate, when it is going to be a very cold climate, even sometimes you see Arctic places like ice area, no need to give bath at all. Once a year is enough. Whereas our area is a tropic area. It is very good to give bath at least once a week, or once in 10 days at least. So that is quite ideal. So that the normal feeling of a dog after freshness will be there, so that you'll be having, suppose you are going on using, you should not use daily bath. Say suppose you are going to use bath daily with the shampoo particularly. See, whenever you are going to have a severe summer, so to control the seriousness of the summer, we can apply water like we are applying for the plant. You can use only water with the hose pipe. You can apply all over the body of the dog, and no need to give shampooing. So if you are going to use the shampooing daily, it will dry, even if it is going to be a normal shampoo, because the body is having a sebum as a secretion. In the dogs, there is a sebaceous gland in the skin, so they will secrete sebum as a secretion. They should give oily protection for the coat. So whenever you are going to use abnormally any shampoo or with a soap frequently, without the need, then what will happen? It will go for drying of the area. Again, it will start itching. That is why we should not use that. That is weekly once or 10 days once is quite sufficient for our tropical condition.
okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, in your experience, sir, what are the common food allergens you encounter in your pet practice? Common food allergens for both dogs and cats.
Yeah, in general, if you talk about the allergy to a dog, that means food allergy means it is a first and foremost thing is you should understand that it is a non-seasonal. See, the non-seasonal is a very important thing. It won't depend on the season, so it will be there throughout the year. If you are going to expose the protein which is not suiting for the dog, so you should understand, even it can be any age. See, even in the young puppy, it will develop. Sometime owner, the pet parent themselves will understand, while giving chicken it will develop allergy, while giving egg it is producing allergy, or while giving milk it is not accepting, it is going for vomiting.
But sir, if you look at Indian pet parents, most of the pets, they are on home food, and they don't depend on one ingredient. You give chapati along with sambar. Again, they will add milk, they will add paneer, vegetables. How difficult it is to identify a food allergy.
So the food allergy means that's what I have to tell. First, you should understand it is a non-seasonal pruritic skin disease. It's a pruritic skin disease. As I told you, allergy means there should be a skin irritation and there should be a recurrence. And here, one another important thing is not necessarily there should be a skin lesion. Skin pruritus will be there, but need not be a pruritic lesions. So the skin body need not have a lesion on the body. It may have vomiting or loose motion, and
For
it may
the
have
Sir,
pruritus.
what I just
And
wanted to add, for the viewers, pruritus means itching.
itching
Yes.
may be there. Itching will be there with or without skin lesion, skin trauma or skin wound. If the skin wound is there with the pruritus, and if the animal is going to have a food allergy, what will happen? It will constantly lick the paw. See, not necessarily it should be having only a gastrointestinal involvement. It can also have urinogenital involvement. Sometime it will have a urinary tract infection. Sometime it may have a respiratory tract infection. Sometime, very rarely, it will have a neurological involvement. So like that, we can have very many facets of that. But in that particularly, we have more of GI involvement. So it can have a non-seasonal, then it can be pruritic, and it need not be a lesion, that is a wound or anything on the skin, or it can have or it cannot have, it need not have. Like that, it can be presented, and it not necessarily it should affect only the skin, it also affect the GI and urinary tract, or even respiratory tract or neurological. So all these things are possible, but these things are very minimal. Only GI and skin lesions are very common in dogs and cat. So here, in case of dog, how to recognize it? The recognition of the food allergy is whenever you are going to introduce any food, what will happen? It will lick the paw, rub the face, shake the head, and ear erythema will be there, ear redness will be there. So if you see, if you don't look into it properly, if you are not caring about it, simply you are adding some ear drops daily, or if you are going on treating the ear problem, and it will reoccur. Sometimes it will go even hematoma, that is accumulation of the fluid in the, like a pillow in the ear.
There will be swelling of ears.
Swelling of the ear. So ear pinna will have a swollen appearance. So these things are very commonly seen all over the body. It will have a papular eruptions. Papular eruptions means bump-like eruptions all over the body. If you see under like a spike-like eruptions all over the body, if you see under sunlight, you can easily understand. You see in a different angle, you can see the eruptions all over the body. It won't be a course of this thing, hairline. So you can easily appreciate all these things, and all the time it will have a licking the paw, rubbing the face, shaking the head. Not necessarily all the things should have. Any one of these symptom will be there. And sometimes occasional vomiting, occasional loose motion will be there. You will be appreciating once in a while animal will be vomiting. And also it will have a gas production. Particularly when you are sitting in the AC along with the dog, all of a sudden it will produce gas, and you cannot tolerate the smell. Like that, it will have a regurgitation also. Like that, you have a lot of things. Any one of these symptoms, gastric symptoms, or itching symptom, and itching with the gastric symptom, or itching with the lesions, or without lesion, you can expect to have this food allergy. And in this food allergy, whereas in case of cat, it is very different. You can see the head and neck lesions very commonly. So if you change the food, suppose you are giving a brand, all of a sudden you are going to change a brand, you can see the neck area, you'll have a lot of loss of hair. You can see alopecia in the hair, neck alone. Not necessarily it should scratch. Sometimes it will scratch. So if it is going to have a scratch, if it is going to be because of the food allergy, you can very well see the head and neck lesion as a very common thing, apart from the miliary dermatitis, that is the papule, crust, or lesions, small lesions all over the body. All these things are related to, even sometimes it will end up with the eosinophilic granuloma, that is some red patches will be there in the lip or nose area. So those things are very commonly seen in cat. So you have to identify whether it is due to food. So for that, we have got hypoallergenic cat food is there. So you can very well use that. So that we can consult the vet and do accordingly. So that is the ultra hypo available in the cat as well as in the thing. This particular hypoallergenic we have. Apart from that, in case of available food in home food, as you said, what are all the food allergic to dog throughout India or throughout world? They have identified in vegetarian, it may be a vegetarian diet or non-vegetarian diet. If it is going to be a vegetarian diet, not necessarily somebody will be thinking only if you are giving a non-vegetarian diet, it will have allergy. It is not like that. Even a vegetarian diet can create a severe allergy similar to that of a non-vegetarian diet. The main thing is the protein concentration, the protein molecular weight. So 14,000 Dalton to 40,000 Dalton protein is causing allergy to a dog, particularly. See, even though it is from 10,000 Dalton to 70,000 Dalton is allergic to dog, the allergic food what we are having as ultra hypo and hypoallergenic are 6,000 Dalton. See, 6,000 Dalton is there in the processed food. See, the processed food they will be having reducing the molecular weight to 6,000 Dalton so that it won't produce allergy to the dog. Otherwise, what will happen? They will induce allergy to the. They will develop Ig receptors. They will go and contact with the complex protein which is in the food. What will happen? They will release the mast cell destroy. So immediately they will start itching. So these low molecular weight proteins, what will happen? They won't affect the receptor. So what will happen? They won't go for itching. That's why we are advising to go for ultra hypo or selective food, which is if it is identified if that particular protein is not allergic to that dog. So for that we should have an idea what are all the food ingredients which is making dog allergy or cat allergy. In case of dog, if you are going for as I told you, if it is a vegetarian food, all the dairy product, wheat product, nuts product, it is common for cat and dog. All the dairy product, it may be a palgova, it may be a milk, or it may be a curd, or whatever it is, even milk halwa, like that. So we have to see the products, milk products, even the ghee can create allergy to the dog, cheese or anything like that. Dairy product, wheat product. So the wheat product means it may be a chapati, or it may be a Mary biscuit, or it may be a milk bikis, or anything. So any product, even commercial food, whatever food it is, all the food are made up of majority of the commercial food is made up of chicken and wheat as a base. So if you are going to go for a wheat and chicken based commercial food, there is chance for any food can go for allergy to the dog. So not necessarily the commercial food, even plainly if you are going to give a wheat in any form. And in that we have got certain limitations. So we have got certain variations. Sometimes the source of wheat is very important. So some source of wheat, say you might have seen chapati is not creating problem, but if you are going to give a Mary biscuit, it is creating a problem. Like that, if you are going to give a commercial diet, it is creating a problem, like that. So the source of wheat also important, and amount of quantity. So the quantity of wheat product, that is also very important. Say if you are giving a one Mary biscuit, it may not produce allergy. Whereas if you are going to give 10 Mary biscuit at a time, it will produce allergy. So the wheat atta product has to be avoided. And the other thing is the nuts. So the nuts product, all the nuts. See, nowadays dogs are very much fond of having a groundnut. See, in our place they used to eat a lot of groundnut and groundnut cakes. So whenever they eat, immediately dog will ask, please give me, like that. So immediately they'll catch up and eat, enjoy. So the groundnut, even some people will have a habit of giving a lot of nuts to the dog so that they will become like a bima. So they will give mundri, there is cashew or almond, like that. What you are given? Kaju katli, sir. Daily it is taking kaju katli, like that. So definitely they will produce allergy in that. So the dairy product, wheat product, nuts product are primary ingredient of allergy in dogs and cat. So you have to understand that in vegetarian. Whereas in non-vegetarian food, we have a lot of issues with the chicken, mutton, and beef. So the beef and the mutton are cross-reacting. So even the milk and mutton are cross-reacting. Even lamb and mutton are cross-reacting. That's why we have to identify. Some dog will have the habit of, suppose you are going to switch over to the lamb, they may have a good reaction. They may not have involvement. Some will have reaction because they will be mimicking beef. They will be considering it as a beef, even though you are giving a lamb. So all the beef products may be allergic to dog. See, whatever you are giving as a chew sticks, all are allergy. See, the chew sticks are very much made up of beef, even though it is having a different flavor. And apart from that, they have vasoactive amine. Owner will be telling you will be telling that we are not giving any non-vegetarian chew stick. We are giving only vegetarian chew sticks. In that vegetarian chew stick also, there is a vasoactive amine, which is meant for binding the protein and carbohydrate so that it will make more sturdy, so that it will chew for a long time. So those ingredients, even the coloring reagent also can create problem in a dog. So the coloring agents, what you are adding in food, commercial food, not necessarily in the chew stick, even in the food, there is possibility to have the problem. So you have to worry about whenever there is a food allergy, you have to consider not necessarily vegetarian, non-vegetarian. You have to consider the vegetarian also. In that, dairy product, wheat product, nuts product, and chicken product, mutton product, and beef. So the beef mainly with the chew sticks. So you have to, when any food allergy you suspect, you consider first whether what treat you have given recently. So it may be a new treat. So treat first you avoid and see how it is, whether animal is not having itching after stopping the treat. So then you can consider that it is mainly because of the treat, like that. So it has to be, we have to worry about it. And apart from that, one another important thing you have to remember is the cat is having allergy to fish, whereas in case of dog, it is not having allergy to fish. So generally for dog, fish is a hypoallergenic diet. See, the selective diet, we have got hydrolyzed diet, selective ingredient diet. That's why even in Farmina, they have given, Wetlife, they have given ultra hypo diet and hypoallergenic diet. Say ultra hypo means there is a they reduce the molecular weight in such a way it won't produce allergy. Whereas hypoallergenic means it is a selective diet. Here it is they make with the salmon rice, salmon potato, like that. So this salmon potato or salmon rice based food will not create allergy to the dog if it is not allergic to allergic to fish. Very rarely they may have allergic to fish. In those cases, we have to avoid fish also. So that's why we have to go for a dietary trial in any food allergy. We have to go for a dietary trial for 5 weeks. So the 5 weeks we have to go for a dietary trial. In that 5 weeks, we have to go only with the ultra hypo diet or the hydrolyzed protein diet. So that is 5 weeks we have to do, or 8 weeks is the 95% we can identify it is whether it is having food allergy or not. In that period, we have to give only ultra hypo or selective diet, which is acceptable by the animal, or even the home diet, which is acceptable by the animal, which is not having any issue with that particular thing. Say like rice, dal, some ingredients which are not allergic to the dog has to be selected. Single source protein has to be selected, and we have to go for treating with that. So we have to necessarily check for this Delton. See the Delton here, the ultra hypo is having Delton of 6,000. There is less than 10,000. See, as I told you, 14,000 to 40,000 Delton is the very important range of Delton range, wherein a dog or cat will produce allergy to the food. So this particular any hydrolyzed diet will lead to reduction in the Delton protein source, and in that protein source you won't have the problem of allergy because of the food. Because many times you'll be having combination of food allergy and environmental allergy. So we have to, even any allergy can be combination of food allergy, environmental allergy, or even the flea allergy. Like that, we can have a mixture of different allergic disease. If one allergic disease is going to be there, another allergic disease is easily picked up by the dog or cat. So in cat, we have to rule out one by one. Here, we have to rule out easily, directly we can do that. Okay.
Yeah. So we will take quickly a question, sir. This is by Miss Bose. She is asking, my dog has itching in ears, no fleas. Can you help? Is there any home remedy?
So first and foremost thing is you have to find out the food. Food we have to avoid. See, whatever food you are giving, you see whether which is coming under these things. First, you avoid treat. You avoid dairy product, chicken product, dairy product, wheat product, nuts product, and chicken, mutton, beef product. Go for hydrolyzed diet for 5 weeks and see whether it is improving with that. And apart from treating the ears, because already it might have got secondary bacterial infection, so you treat the secondary bacterial infection with antibiotic and anti-inflammatory in consultation with your vet, and then go for specific hydrolyzed diet, so that you will have a solution. Or even in case of environmental allergy, it will be having, in spite of changing the food, it may have the issue. In those cases, you have to treat along with the food change, you have to go for another drugs you have to add, so that your vet will decide. Please go and see your vet. Thank you.
I think Ms. Bose, Dr. Nagarajan has answered your question. So this question is from Dr. Praveen Kumar. So he's a vet. So if there is yeast infection, what will be the protocol? What protocol should be followed? Which is in skin scraping and fungal routine is negative. So skin scraping and fungal routine is negative. And he's saying if there is an yeast infection.
See, the yeast infestation, first and foremost thing is we have to identify by tape impression. So the tape impression will give a lot of idea about the yeast. You can easily identify the peanut-like or this thing we can see with the help of Dipquick stain. You can easily identify the malassezia. But the only thing is you have to know whether it is primarily malassezia, or most of the time you'll be having all allergic disease will have a secondary malassezia. Not necessarily the allergic disease, even the parasitic disease will have a secondary malassezia. So the malassezia means immediately you should not treat only the some client was telling before it was not improving with the treatment. She might have given treatment with the antifungal shampoos, because she has treated only the secondaries. It is not the primary, like environment, allergy or food. So the primary, most of our Indian dogs are having a secondary because of the climate. The humidity is high in so many places. So what will happen? It is prone for yeast growth. So the yeast growth is very favorable in a humid climate, and also whenever there is a low immune system, and also whenever there is an allergic dermatitis or parasitic dermatitis. So the all parasitic dermatitis, even a hormonal influence, we have noticed even hyperthyroidism developed secondary malassezia apart from pyoderma. So we have got any malassezia or any pyoderma, that is the bacterial infection or the pus in the dermis or in the skin, we have to think only not treating the particular bacteria or fungus. We have to worry about the primary. Of course, initially you have to treat and correct that secondary infection. Then side by side, you have to identify whether it has got any fungal infection, any yeast infestation by way of tape impression or skin scraping by for ruling out the parasitic infection. So either you can go to your vet and see whether it is clearly ruled out, and see whether appropriate cause has been identified, and you have to treat accordingly. Otherwise, there will be always recurrence. That's why always I tell you, there is a recurrence. If there is a recurrence, that means it is an allergy. So the recurrence and scratching, that is a classical symptom. Not necessarily scratching means not necessarily scratching. It can be a shaking of the head. It can be a reddening of the ears. It can be licking the paw, rubbing the body on the wall, or even rubbing on the mat, or even on the sofa. Anything is scratching or itching. So itching is the very important criteria for allergic dermatitis. And this itching not only in allergic dermatitis, also in parasitic dermatitis, other diseases, that has to be ruled out one by one by the vet. But in the allergic dermatitis, itching is the prominent symptom along with the recurrence. Even though you are going to treat it, will reoccur. So the recurrence and these two are very classical in allergic dermatitis. That you have to remember. Okay.
Sir, and one interesting question. So Mr. Saxena, he has a 4 years male Labrador, have itching problem, suffering from hypothyroidism. So I need expert opinion from Dr. Nagarajan. So may I have his contact information? So can you please address her? So this pet has a hypothyroidism and also have a skin infection.
So the hypothyroidism, see, many times you have the hormonal issue. This hormonal issue, we have a lot of things there. We should have classical demarcation by mere seeing a dog. We can have an idea by seeing the obesity or rat tail appearance, or even animal will be lethargic for many days. So it won't be very active, and it'll be most of the Labradors, they used to have this, or Dachshunds, they will be very fluffy and they will have obesity. So the obesity and rat tail appearance and lethargy, and even when you ask when you go to vet will be telling that it has got low heart rate. So all these things are very classical clue for identifying the hypothyroid. Apart from going for examining with the chemical parameters, biochemical parameters, we don't have enough biochemical parameters in India, but with the treatment trial, suppose if the vet is going to give treatment for this hypothyroidism like Eltroxin, if it is going to be a hypothyroidism truly, it will definitely improve in its condition. Say the lethargy will not be there, animal will be quite active, and the obesity will come down, and the animal will have a cheerful thing, and it will have a loss of alopecia, symmetrical alopecia. See, where you will be having the loss of hair in the flank and the nose, nasal bridge, you will be having the loss of hair in the ventral neck, and brisket area you will be having alopecia. There is a complete loss of hair. These things will reoccur. So the growth of hair you can expect after 3 weeks of giving the specific dose of Eltroxin or the levothyroxine tablets, what you are giving, which is prescribed by the vet, because that has to be given, whether it requires 2 times a day, single time a day, all those things they will decide. They will see the weight accordingly. They will calculate the need of the medicine, and then they will give it to you. So it is very, very important to consult a vet, because it's a hormonal tablet, hormonal influence. You should not give blindly. So it is very, very important to go to vet and see that whether it has got a thing. If you want to contact me, you can always contact me with my number 984003344. That is my cell number, 984003344. So that is my cell number. You can contact at any time if you are having any difficulty.
If Mr. Saxena is not seeing this right now, we will definitely DM him your number, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Sir, and there is an interesting question from Dr. Sanjit Kumar. So he is also a vet, I believe. So he has asked, sir, what is the treatment for alopecia in a particular area in the backside? Actually, owner was groomed their pet somewhere, and on skin scraping examination, fungal colony. I think he found some fungal colonies.
The fungal colony means we have to go for Woods lamp examination. See, first rule out the mycosis. See whether it has got any ringworm infestation. You go for staining with a methylene blue, or even you can go for culture, and even we have a DTM medium, dermatotype testing medium. So with that we can easily have a growth within 48 hours. You can see, and daily you can see the growth and change in color, and you can very well appreciate the fungal, if it is going to be a fungal. If it is going to be any anything which is going to be itchy, sometimes even a focal area lesion will be there because of the Demodex also, or it may be because of some parasitic infestation. So it is very much important to go for any skin involvement. You have to go for a skin scraping, so that we can rule out the parasite and rule out the
he has added, sir, there is no ringworm.
No ringworm means we have to see whether it has got any other scraping. We have to check, and we have to see any other thing which is not regrowing, means what area it has got.
He has further added that culture and Demodex is also normal.
So we have to see whether it has got any, because sometimes after sharing, if it is going to persist, if the alopecia is going to persist, it may be because of any hormonal influence, or it may be because of even alopecia X. So we have to rule out one by one. So we will discuss personally. You can
Yeah.
just give me your details. Give me the details of all the thing, because all the pet parents are watching now. So you can very well discuss about the thing whenever you have a time. You can send your details. What are all the things you have done, and what we can guide you. What is the course of action you can take like that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Dr. Sanjit Kumar, we will share Dr. Nagarajan's contact number, so you can directly contact him and you can clear your doubts. So, sir, this brings to the end of the session. So, as a takeaway message, just I wanted to ask you as a takeaway message. So, what are the things? What are the things which a pet parent should keep in their mind when they have a itchy pet, or when the pet is itching,
In India,
regarding the management aspect and also regarding the food aspect?
so whenever there is an itch, we have to first and foremost thing in India, as far as India is concerned, we have got majority of the itching is mainly because of the parasite or allergy. So parasite and allergy can be very well identified and clarified by the vet. You go to vet, and they will do the skin scraping and see whether it is due to parasite or not. And apart from that, if it is going to be an allergy, we have to, you yourself can identify whether it is due to food or not. Food is the very important thing, wherein, as I told you, you have to worry about the dairy product, wheat product, nuts product, chicken product, mutton product, and beef product, and also the treats. So these things has to be avoided, and you have to introduce one by one after 5 weeks of dietary trial with the with the ultra hypo or any this low molecular weight diet. If it is not creating itching, you have to reintroduce one by one with the food what you have given, so that it will reoccur. The itching will recur, but you should not introduce all the protein together. You have to introduce one by one. Say, for example, dairy product first 2 weeks, then next 2 weeks chicken products, next to the 2 weeks, like that reintroduce one by one, and see whether it is developing itching, like licking the paw, rubbing the face, shaking the head. All these things are happening. So sometime it will be very much okay with the mutton. In that case, you select the mutton. Sometime it will be very much okay with the quail, because it may be allergic to chicken, but it won't be allergic to quail product. So the quail product will be very tasty, and it will be having more antioxidant. They'll be having more iron and phosphorus in it. So they'll be very much useful for eating. Uh, Flourishing the dogs, they will attract more with that different product. So it is very important to select the product. Sometimes duck, sometimes you can go for chicken sometimes may not be allergic, wheat may be allergic. So you have to identify what is the ingredient which is allergy, and avoid that particular protein throughout life. And once in a while, you can give, at that time you'll be knowing, if you give that protein, next day animal will scratch like that. So you can very well watch that and avoid that. As our diabetic patients are eating a sweet, next day they will have elevation of glucose. After that, you won't eat like that. Here also, we can just give one day, and then you can watch for itching, and then you avoid throughout the year. So you can give whatever protein acceptable by the body. So it is very important. Suppose if you are going to control this food allergy, I think majority of the 40% of the cases are due to food allergy. So the food allergy itself will solve the problem of your pet's itching. So I think we will give a very good quality life for our pets, because if you are not going to identify the pet, because it will be there throughout life. The food allergy will be there from the birth to life. So if you are not avoiding the protein which is causing the problem, then it will be, the quality of life will not be there. All the time it will be itching.
Scratching will be always there.
There will be there won't be any quality of life. So it is very, very important to follow that strictly and consult your doctor, consult your vet. He'll help you in going how to go for a good dietary trial, how to provocate it, how to do how to reintroduce. Say for example, whenever you are going to reintroduce, you have to reintroduce the much lower protein initially. Later you have to go for a high end protein like wheat and chicken. All these things beef or very severely allergic means you can go for a later days. Initially you introduce dairy. And one another thing is in our experience we have seen that Labradors and Dachshunds are very much prone for dairy protein allergy. So that is very common. So in these breeds, whenever you are coming across in these breeds, better to avoid dairy products and see. In case if it is going to show improvement, that is the dairy is the very important thing. So like that, we should have some idea about the food allergy, and by controlling the food allergy itself, majority of the pets will stop itching. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering all our queries. And we have answered most of the questions raised by our viewers. Thank you for giving your valuable time for us. Thank you, sir. And for the viewers, if we have missed any of your question, we will get in touch to you directly. So next week, again, we will catch up with an interesting topic on nutrition. Till that time, good night and bye-bye from Anish. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all. Thank you for passion here.